Well, hi, followers. I don't usually make videos, but I'm gonna make this video because, you see, I'm a little worried about people's ideas of fairy tales as they stand. Because, everyone thinks that they're these wonderful romantic things, which most of the time they are. They can end well, and in marriage and all that stuff. But I wanted to share with you my own idea of fairy tales. Actually, this is an adaptation of a Straparola tale called The Magic Doll. But you'll notice that it's a little bit different from what most people think when they hear a fairy tale. So here it is. So the story starts. It's about a little girl who lives with her sister, and unfortunately they're very quite poor. So when they eventually run out of their money, the sister says to the little girl, whose name is Adamantina, if I remembered correctly, the sister gives her Adamantina the last of their money, and she says, go to town and buy a loaf of bread, some rice, something that we can live off of for as long as possible. So Adamantina goes into town, and she runs into an old woman who catches her eye and notices her rags, and she goes up to Adamantina and says, little girl, I've got this doll here for you. I think that you would really like it. So Adamantina says, no, this money that I have, it's for a little bit of food for me and my sister. And the woman continues to push this doll upon Adamantina, until eventually the poor little girl decides to buy the doll, and brings it back home to show her sister. But the sister flies into a rage. She says, Adamantina, I gave you the last of our money to go and buy food so that we can survive, and you've come back here with a doll? So Adamantina gets in some trouble. Her sister kicks her out of the house, and while Adamantina is sitting on the steps, crying because of how badly she screwed up, the doll begins to speak to her, and the doll says, Mama, caca, which of course means that the doll needs to poop. So Adamantina takes off her little dress and she lays it down on the ground, and she says, here, you can relieve yourself on this surface. So the doll sits on Adamantina's cloth and starts pooping gold. And when Adamantina sees this, she's bewildered. She takes the money that her doll has just pooped and shows it to her sister, and all of a sudden everything is forgiven. This doll continues to poop gold coins whenever Adamantina and her sister are most desperate for them. But the story doesn't stop there. With this newfound money, Adamantina and her sister live quite prosperously. So much so that their neighbor becomes suspicious. And so she devises this plan to go over and see how these once very poor girls have suddenly started to gain so much money. So the neighbor cons her way into their house and snoops around, and she finds the doll, and she realizes that this is their source of income. So the neighbor steals the doll And when she brings it back to her husband, she says, this will be the end of all of our problems. Don't worry, husband, you. This doll will poop gold for the rest of our lives. But sure enough, when the doll turns to the evil neighbor, it says, Mama, Mama, Kaka, Kaka. And the neighbor sets out a nice little place for the doll to relieve itself. And instead of pooping gold, it poops giant, steaming piles of... So anyway, when the husband sees and smells this, he gets really furious, and he packages up the doll, and he throws it out onto the street in the garbage. The garbage collectors come along, they sweep it up, they don't think twice about it, and they toss everything out into the woods. Until one day, the king and his hunting buddies are riding along, and the king says, hold up a sec, guys, I gotta, go answer nature over there. So he goes out, and eventually he calls back to his buddies. He says, hey, I need something to wipe myself with, so find me something now. And the guys go along, and they find this doll, and they give it to the king, and they say, here, you can use this doll, it's just trash, no biggie. And when the king goes to wipe himself with the doll, she bites on to his ass and won't let go. And the king tries to take it off, and all of his friends hear him screaming in pain, and each try to remove the doll from the king's derriere, but to no avail. Doll holds on tight. So soon enough, the king is in terrible, excruciating pain, and he sets out a call to his entire kingdom, just saying, if there's anyone who knows how to get this doll off of my ass, I will either marry them on the spot, if they're a woman, or give them half of my kingdom. That's just how bad it was. So, eventually, Adamantina hears this, and she thinks, a doll with magic powers enough to bite onto the king's ass could be mine. So when she gets to the king's palace, she finds out that, she finds him in excruciating pain, especially because, and this is the best part, every time someone new comes along and tries to remove the doll from the king's ass, the doll has learned that very close to the ass is, as Straparola calls it, the king's jingle bells. So each time someone tries to tug the doll off of the king's ass, it reaches around and grabs hold of the king's balls. So Adamantina comes into the room, and she immediately sees the doll and says, little dolly, it's me, it's your master. And the doll immediately lets go of the king's ass and leaps into her mother's arms, and says, Mama, Mama, you found me, stuff. The king turns around, and he's so grateful just to have this doll off of his ass that he marries Adamantina on the spot, and promises a life of prosper for her and her sister. Now that's the tale of the magic doll, and it's a rising tale, obviously, because Adamantina rises from state of poverty to being the queen. So that's something, but it's also quite different from these handsome princes in the woods. And maybe more people should think about that.